Welcome to Framework Fortune and welcome back Framework Fortune community. It's time for your Friday episode of The Last Rip, the series where we take a daily look Monday through Friday when the stock market is open at the top Nasdaq and NYSE gainers and see if we can figure out why some of these stocks ran and are they going to be something to watch tomorrow. Of course, it's Friday, so we'll see if there's any that may be interesting for Monday. So let's not waste any time and dive into the S&P 500. I always am going to start with this because we need to see where the overall market is going. And here lately, the S&P 500 has been looking very sketchy in this triangle, but looks like it's going to break out of it. This is a very steep uptrend. And the longer it does that, the harder the fall is going to be, because you can see the 20 days up here. Now the 50-day on the week chart is way down there at 375. So I still think we're going to crash. Even though we're hitting new highs, we're barely making new highs over the last couple of days. This is all the Fed manipulation, the money printing, them buying bonds and all of that. They're supposed to stop with the corporate credit facilities that they were doing here soon, which means they'll probably stop buying up bonds and equities at some point. Now they're trying to keep inflation low with rates being low, but inflation is still not staying where they want it, and it's going to get out of control. At this point, I do not see very much hope for inflation not to really kick in. We may not get super hyperinflation, but we are going to see some inflation that's going to hurt a little bit. There's no doubt about it. The US dollar is in a downward spiral, and even though it rebounded some today a little bit, in the overall picture of things, the dollar is going down. So we'll see what happens. At some point, this market is going to have to correct. It can continue to push as long as the Feds are pushing it, but once they stop, that's going to be a lot of money that gets pulled out of the market and leave a big hole that's going to need to be filled. And I don't know if a lot of institutions and hedge funds are going to be willing to fill that hole right away. So I think we're going to see the market have a big drop. But let's jump into the top NASDAQ gainer list. So first we got NOVN. They submitted a new drug application, and it looks like they had some good evidence and achieved their primary endpoints on phase 3. So that is a good thing. Pretty low float, only 15 million in shares, but ripped pretty hard at pre-market when this PR came out, moving from 940 all the way up to 1868 before selling off the rest of the day. Now, one thing that we're probably going to see is a lot of these are going to look like the SPY, because the SPY sold off pretty hard and was looking like it was going to drop, but then got bought back up, and then you see the big run where it ran up and hit a new high. So this is a lot of volatility in the S&P 500, and that is going to directly affect all the other stocks. So we'll move on to BAOS, and this is another one of those random ones. Looks like it just hit a low here recently, 2 days ago, and didn't get any heat until power hour. So there's no news or anything on it. It was halted on a circuit breaker, but that's that same little pattern there where we had a recent low of the year. So got to keep an eye on that. JANX, this is up 47%. This is another therapeutic stock. It looks like we're kind of getting to some hot pharma action going on too. So it looks like they just IPO'd today, and I IPO'd at 17 a share, or they were supposed to. No, okay, it actually came out really high. So it came out in this 30-something area and then sold off. Originally it was supposed to be at 17. This is the same thing we saw happen on Coinbase when it IPO'd. They had a price that they thought it was going to come out at, but by the time it actually got released to the public, all the accredited investors and traders pushed it way up. So when you see that happen, it's a pretty good sign that you're going to see a sell-off because it's too overvalued. UONE, which I've talked about multiple times this week, still hype from the Juneteenth thing. And they also filed for, looks like here just a little while ago, a stock shelf of up to 200 million of Class A common stock. I would have thought that would have made it drop some, but get another nice rip there through market open. And you can see where I've had resistance lines drawn on this before, and it got rejected at 24 and pushed back down below that line there at 21. So very interesting. It's trying to do another big run maybe. There's not really a reason yet that I've seen for this to be running this high. There's not any real value, but we'll see. PROG up 28%. It's a healthcare stock, and look right there, just hit a new low a year, getting a bounce up off of that low at that $2 area, and this thing just ripped back up to 4. Icon, what do we got here? Oh, they're going private. That was that deal, so they're just still in the market. Not really much. Just had a little gap up, it looks like, but that's probably the price that they're going to be bought up at, so not going to be any more movement out of that. EQOS, no PR, but once again, just hit a low a year at $5. Had a little buying volume through the day, but not very much until power hour. Another big power hour rip. We keep seeing these power hour rips. But if you look back at the SPY, that's when the whole entire SPY ripped. So that's the SPY pulling them back up. So these stocks that are hitting lower years and then ripping seem to be correlating maybe with the way the SPY is moving. We'll have to keep an eye on it, try to figure out this pattern that's happening in the market right now. Next we got CARV. So it had a run up last Juneteenth or whatever, and it is just running up again. Decent move, 13 all the way up to 1662 here in after hours. VXRT, this got an overweight rating and a price target of $18, so it got pushed up to about 10, but you can see on the daily there where it got rejected at the 200. But this is a decent looking chart pattern. If you draw a trend line like kind of right across there, you can see it's on this big triangle. So VXRT will probably actually have a breakout, or it will have a big drop very soon, but it is getting tighter and tighter in this triangle. Last on the Nasdaq list, we got BIVI. They are closing an acquisition from a private company, and they got a nice move up. Not a lot of volume though, only 141,000, but it moved from 14.91 up to 18. And it's not an OTC stock, so I'm actually going to throw this on the watch list for Monday. So on to the NYSE. First we got BZ here. This looks like this was another IPO. Yeah, this was another IPO that came out. So the rest of this chart back here is nothing. This was just a previous chart from another company, but this would be the start of a new chart. BZ looked like it opened up about 33, ran all the way up to 38, and it's held its gains so far, so that's pretty interesting. Bigger float stock, bigger cap, up to 400 million shares there. XIN, again, this little bugger has been on the top gainer list multiple times this week. And I'm liking the buy-in that is coming in on this, and it being a REIT. And I still haven't researched it yet, but seeing it up here again, it makes me want to check it out more and more. So today it just bounced off the 200 there on the 15-minute, around that 280 area, and then ran up to 385. So a whole dollar move today. Very nice. And now it's above the 200-day. And that 20-day is close to breaking over the 100-day. So this thing is close to going real bullish. Next we got GBS. This did not do much today, but had a big run up in pre-market this morning. Let's see if they have any news. No, there was no news, just a weird random pop in pre-market. Oh, like there, low of year yesterday, 244, and then today popping up. So that's another one of those ones that has that same exact pattern. Now this one is interesting because it has room all the way up to 729 where the 50-day is. And you can see multiple times back here where it's tried to push up to that 50-day. So this could be one to keep on watch. Very low float. I'm going to add it to the watch list for Monday too. But looking very interesting there. This got a price target raise, and now some analyst is overweight on it. It is pretty cheap right now. It did hit a low a year recently. It is pretty cheap right now. It hit a low a year back in March of last year, it looks like. And it's been slowly climbing, but just broke over the 200. So you can see the 50's almost crossed the 100 too. The 20 keeps climbing. This is a senior living home stock. So this is like a retirement home stock. This is where they keep everybody in the government at, in this nice Brookdale senior living. It's interesting. Could be one to keep an eye on if you want to invest in retirement home stocks. So next we got AMC. Had a little rebound today, bouncing from that 42 up to $50 and getting rejected around that $50 area. So still some volatility on this. It is holding up the 20-day on the daily, but look, I mean, there's a lot of room that this could fall. And I would expect it to, but it could maybe get another rip after this consolidation. I don't know. Like I've been saying, whenever the institutions want to stop playing this game, they will. Next, we got ZH. No PR there. Looks like this IPO'd back in April, sold off for a little while. Now breaking over that 1050 area, that IPO price, and ran up to 1175. But this is pretty bullish now. It's above all indicators, and the EMAs are right where they need to be. So that could be one to keep on watch as well. Larger float though. ATY moving from about 1072 up to 1213. Decent move there. It had dropped to the 200, so it bounced off of it and then got rejected at the 100. But a decent little bounce off the 200-day EMA there. That strong support area. Next, we got MX. This is another one that had a huge rip in pre-market. 23 up to 33. $10 rip. Not seeing the chart pattern. I don't see anything there. There must have been some news. Yeah, so they were trying to acquire another company. And this is a semiconductor and chip manufacturer, so there is a shortage that could make this run some more, but it just went sideways the rest of the day. I don't know. I have to look into that PR to try to figure out what's going on with this because I'm not exactly sure. There was another stock somebody pointed out in the live stream, Rcon, today that looked insane. It had good PR. We'll check it out in a second. GB here, 27,000 in volume, barely any volume. Nothing to really cover there. And we got JKS. And this is one of those Asian ADRs popping up, 41 to 47. And this one's actually close to going bullish. Only has to break through the 200 and the 100, and they're very close together. So that is interesting. Now, Rcon, this is a weird one. Rcon had a pretty decent rip in pre-market, starting out moving from 1287 up to 1750 in the first 15 minutes of the market, but then just got slammed down super low. I mean, this was a big drop. This thing had been on a nice uptrend. The SPY is even steeper than this one, but the steeper the uptrend, the bigger the drop. So that's why I keep warning about the SPY and the whole entire market. But if you look at the PR on Rcon, right there, they've got a $5 million order secured. They signed 2 contracts with North China for a value of $510K. So they had some good PR, but it just died. And that's the thing about PR. That can't be the only thing that you look at as a trader. You can have good PR and the stock can crash like this. This is the perfect example. You can also have bad PR and the stock rip. So you got to have more criteria than just PR. So that's both of the lists there. So I'm going to take a look at, I'm going to go over this trade that I made this morning. I day traded APTX. This was one that was making a little bit of a move yesterday. It ripped from that 280 area up to 356. Here in pre-market, it was slowly climbing, opened up and had another rip up to 445. I waited for the pullback and waited for some confirmation that this might be moving back up. And then you can see I got in these candles. And it ran up to 473. I was really expecting it to hit $5 because there wasn't much resistance other than $5 once it broke past this 450 line right here. but it got hung up at 473 and came back down, so I had to hop out, and I was only able to lock in $1.92. But this, at one point, I was up 30 something, almost $40 on this play, and I just didn't. Only locked out, I think, 10 shares of it, and was trying to hold, and didn't work out. But I'll take green over red any day. So, because it is a weekend, a lot could change between here and Monday. We'll see how the market reacts Monday to all the news headlines and everything coming out. The crypto markets, except for Bitcoin today, have been dropping. Bitcoin actually has been rebounding some, so a lot of strange stuff happening around all the markets. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Appreciate everybody joining me as always. Stay safe out there. Until next time.